welcome to a review of the Raidmax Monster 2. We don't have much space around here at the moment, so forgive us. So what we have here is a mid-tower ATX, tempered glass side panel on one side, just solid steel on the other. It's just, you know, the usual plastic and steel case. Externals are plastic. Across the top, the front, these sections here are plastic, and then the internal chassis is steel. So what do we have here on the front? We have a couple of 5.25 inch bays. You can see the ventilation. We have this interesting aesthetic with the, you know, these grooves run all the way up the front and then all the way across the top. They've maintained that look across the whole case, and I actually really do like it. Actually, when you look at it from a certain angle, you don't know the depth of those veins. So, you know, they might go right through, and then as you come around, you kind of realize the depth. But you also see these gaps here, which are obviously for ventilation, and we have some of those on the top panel as well. But yeah, I don't mind that look actually at all, and we're kind of seeing this a lot now. These act as good handles. They're very strong, and then they're mirrored on the bottom, which actually gives it some decent airflow under there. You can see there's a good 30mm gap, so that's going to help to get it up a little bit out of the dust and get some more airflow under there, and it mirrors the, you know, keeps that same symmetry. So front I/O, we have power button, reset button, couple of LEDs, which would be power and hard drive, audio, and 2 USB 3. Now the problem with the position of this, obviously that goes all the way through to the inside, is that it's going to block the position of another fan. So it's going to potentially block the installation of, I don't know, maybe a 360mm radiator could fit up there if it weren't for this. There are plenty of other places you could put front I/O, like it could go on the bottom here without interfering with anything really, but certainly not a potential top radiator installation. So yeah, I'm not too sure about the position of that, and I'm also really not in the favor of front I/O anyway. I think cases should just have a power button and just maybe one USB 3.1 or something like that for a flash drive, but I'm more in favor of using hubs and keyboards with USB and audio on them. So we have a position for a 120mm or a 140mm fan at the back. How many expansion slots is that? 7, yep. Ventilated expansion slot covers. We have the external design here, which is, I think it's a little bit cheaper and easier to manufacture, but I don't actually mind it. It does look more messy from the outside and then cleaner from the inside. Just the usual dust filter on the power supply, quite a short one. You know, definitely only for kind of a mid-range system and really not for liquid cooling in this case. Alright Sven, can you come and tear off this front panel? So the front panel just pops off. There's a
front panel
position at the bottom where you can get your hand in and tear it off.
There we go.
So we have a dust filter here. It's quite a good one. It's not magnetic, it hooks in. Nice looking fans actually. 140mm white LED, I'm pretty sure. But because they're all transparent, the LEDs look really good. So that's 240 or 280mm there. But let's take off this side panel. If you look at the inside, you realize that the power supply shroud is actually blocking the installation of a radiator. So yeah, we have this really long power supply shroud that runs all the way across the bottom, and there's only about 30mm left there. So yeah, if you were thinking liquid cooling, well, no, not unless you modify this case a lot. So yeah, you could fit a 120, maybe a 180 there. Then at the top, you might get a 240, but the overhang is going to be pretty bad. There's only 30 millimeters there, so then 25 millimeters of overhang. And yeah, I'm not even sure if there's a compatibility for a radiator at all up there, because it may not be able to overhang at all. I guess it just depends on the motherboard and heights of the memory and all of that. One thing that I'm seeing that does look really good is the cable routing design. So something I really like is shrouds and offset panels. So we have this kind of sunken in look with the motherboard tray, and then this panel here is raised, which, I mean, it looks great because when the motherboard is installed, it is slightly sunken in, and it allows the cables to just disappear off the side of the motherboard, you know, straight under here. So it's a way of doing cable routing without having holes everywhere. You don't need the holes at all. If you look straight on, you can't even see where they're going, they're just disappearing. And you can see we don't have all of the usual big holes all the way down the side of the motherboard there. So cable routing all over in this case has been extremely well designed. We have a hole there and another one there for different positions of EPS, which is great to see that both have been considered. We have this one here for vertical PCIe cable routing. We have one here and here for front panel audio and front panel power and reset. And I'm seeing a lot of cases now which don't have any holes across there. They have a power supply shroud and no openings, so you actually have to run all the way across like that, which is really terrible. And I'm seeing that on major cases, like from the big manufacturers, the big brands. So they've done really, really well with their cable routing here. It's probably one of the most impressive things about this case, I guess. The 5.25 inch bays are removable, so you can see the screws at the front here. So also here, the whole things come out completely, all of the panels. I think there's 2 panels that make up those. So we have a nice big opening, big cutout for accessing backplates. Something I'm seeing, the paint job on this is very consistent and high quality. A lot of cases these days I'm actually seeing in the corners sections which aren't painted. They've just been painted, you know, very kind of, I don't know, it just looks terrible. I'm seeing it all of the time now in a lot of the big brands. Bare metal. But this is very even, consistent, really nice high quality powder coat. And actually all of the finishes on this are quite consistent as well. Like the plastics compared to the paint job on the rear side panel. 2 SSDs or 2.5 inch down the side here. These are kind of going to get in the way of cables because you're going to have the 24 pin SATA data all coming out of there, and you're going to have front panel running down there as well. You know, I would run these down here like this. So it's going to be a whole lot of cables coming down just in that little section there next to the 2.5 inch. And this is the only place that you can actually run the cables down because there's only a 10mm gap behind the motherboard tray, whereas here there's a 30mm gap. And that's thanks to these offset panels. That's why this is, I mean, there's so many reasons why offset panels like this are the way to go. But yeah, it allows all of the cables to just come down this channel here and down into the power supply or back up into the bottom of the motherboard. So we have 2 3.5 inch bays down the bottom here, which are not removable, they're riveted in. And yeah, pretty good power supply length possibilities there. But if you were going to allow a good amount of space for routing cables, I guess power supply lengths would be restricted to mid-range. So cable management is pretty good. We have these cutouts really well placed, I'm noticing, across the top, down this side for EPS. Yeah, cables in general have been really well thought out on this case. So what do you think, Sven?
I like it. I mean, for entry level, again, that's a first kind of case. it's a good start. I mean, you can still modify it here and there, but yeah, I like it personally.
I wonder what we could do with this for mods. Probably mostly aesthetic mods, because the main chassis, the main structural panels, I don't know, we can't fit much in terms of radiators here, so there's not a lot we can do unless we like expand the whole thing. Because I think you would fit a 360 in the top, but you don't have the overhang. So I guess if you put the radiator on the outside and somehow built this top panel up, maybe you could use this kind of structure here, cut this out. I don't know, I think we're kind of limited with mods for fitting a liquid cooling system in this. That's our quick look at the Raidmax Monster 2 SE. Let us know what you think of the case, what you would like to see in a case like this, and what you would do to this case with mods. Thanks for watching, and remember that none of this would be possible without our customers and our patrons.